It's 6 o'clock. Hello and welcome to the morning news here on 3FM 92.7. This news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM. I am Enyonam Haligah. Coming up this morning, Tamale Central Member of Parliament elect warns rising cost of politics threatens our democracy. Also in this bulletin, Education Ministry clarifies school reclassification as is aimed at broader system upgrade. And much later, Democracy Hub challenges government's secret U.S. deportee agreement in court. We'll tell you more about this shortly. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now we'll start off with some political stories because Member of Parliament elect for Tamale Central, Professor Alidu Saidu, says elections are becoming more expensive as voter engagement and logistics demand high resources. However, he explained that while funding elections is necessary part of governance, the rising influence of money in politics is troubling. Now, according to him, when financial inducement becomes the means to secure political office, it threatens the integrity of the democratic process. He spoke with Beatrice Edu on TV3's Agenda.
Democracy is very expensive. It's an expensive enterprise, one. But two, politics and money is like Siamese twins. They are conjoined at a very critical point that if you are not careful and you want to separate them, you may undermine the entire democratic processes. But if you leave it to continue maybe in a certain direction, it could also cause a lot of harm. If we look at elections and money from this perspective, it is a necessary evil, and the bills usually come as part of government budget to run it. But when we look at money, or monetary influence or inducement becoming the political tender to occupying a political office, then it becomes a serious, difficult challenge on the other hand. So the distinction I want to make is the fact that elections or democracy as a system of government is expensive and a lot of resources are required to be able to run them. But the other bit of it is that where monetary inducement or influence or people's pocket becomes the political tender for them to occupy political office, it now becomes an offense and a crime and a very difficult challenge that we must deal with.
That was the Member of Parliament elect for Tamale Central, Professor Alidu Saidu, there speaking with Beatrice Edu on TV3's Agenda. Now to education. The Institute for Education Studies has backed the Education Minister's plan to restructure the SHS classification system, describing it as a perfect proposition. The Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, has announced plans to review and restructure the classification system of senior high schools nationwide in a bid to tackle the recurrent challenges with the computerized school placement system. Now, Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, Dr. Peter Pate Anti, has clarified that the proposal does not downgrade any schools, but rather upgrades 10 Category C schools to B and 10 Category B schools to A.
If you listen to what he was saying, he didn't say they were going to downgrade A to B. He said they were going to upgrade 10 Category C to B and then 10 Category B to A. And then they would now improve on some of the Category A schools. I think that there's been some misrepresentation in terms of the communication that was taken out. One of the measures of a good education minister should be the number of Category A schools that he's able to create. Because we have had the same Category A schools for a long period of time. And that is what everybody also wants to have, get admission into. So if the minister now believes that we can increase the number of Category A schools from the 88 thereabouts to, let's say, 120 or 110 or 100, then it means that that minister is thinking progressively, and we need to give him all the support that he deserves.
Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, Dr. Peter Patti Anti there. Now, meanwhile, the Ministry of Education says the government's plan to reclassify senior high schools goes beyond mere categorization. It explains that the initiative is tied to a broader agenda to improve infrastructure, teaching materials, and overall quality of education across all levels.
The conversation is beyond just reclassifying the various institutions. You know, once you mention grade A or grade B, it has implications. Implications are that you are improving infrastructure, you are improving quality, you are improving access, you are improving the teaching and learning materials, you are improving everything else. And so the ultimate focus is that we are improving senior high education generally in the country. And by that, it will imply that there are some grade B schools that will automatically move to grade A because you have improved their facilities, improved their infrastructure. There are some grade C schools that will also move to grade B because you are improving. So the classification is a natural consequence of your improvement of the education system. And that is the focus of the Minister for Education's agenda.
That was the PRO of the Education Ministry, Daniel Fienyi there. Now moving on to some other stories. Democracy Hub says the group's suit against the government stems from concerns over secrecy and lack of transparency in the U.S. deportee agreement. The group is challenging the legality of a memorandum of understanding signed between the two countries, which allows deportees from the U.S. to temporarily be held in Ghana before being sent to their home countries. It argues that the deal was signed without parliamentary approval, violating constitutional procedures and Ghana's commitment to the rule of law.
We live in a country that we hold dearly the rule of law as the core principle for running or administering affairs. And so if our arrangement as a country, right, the government in any international contract or arrangement would need to be transparent about the deals, right? The details of these transactions, and most importantly, bring it to Parliament approval, right? And all these processes were not followed. So there seems to be some sort of secrecy in the dealings, and more so, it doesn't uphold the fundamental human rights that the Constitution of the Republic seems to guarantee for all people, that we interact with, not just Ghanaians, but Ghana is a member of a community of nations, and so we need to protect such rights of people that we relate with, and so for Ghana to have this agreement, in secrecy with the United States government, this is improper. And so we are seeking the Supreme Court to declare it an illegality, and that will need to be discontinued.
You heard the voice of Kerchefs Atengbele, who is the Policy and Research Coordinator at Democracy Hub. Now moving on, lack of dedicated funding for sources of fuel for power equipment meant for the district road improvement program is hampering the initiative. Inner community roads remain in poor conditions, while the Kwewu Afram Plains North and South District struggle to keep up with the maintenance demands. My colleague Stanley Niblo has filed this report.
The NPP administration introduced the District Road Improvement Program, DRIP, to improve road infrastructure at the local level. The initiative aims to boost economic growth, create jobs, and improve access to essential services such as healthcare and education by connecting rural and remote areas. However, the assemblies are unable to fully utilize the equipment due to the absence of dedicated funding for fueling and maintenance. In the Kwewu Afram Plains North and South districts, The situation is particularly dire. Roads have become impassable, prolonging travel time, increasing transport fares, and damaging vehicles. Residents say they are overwhelmed by the worsening state of roads and the government's slow pace in addressing the problem.
Machines are here that we could use for our routes, but we don't know what's happening at the top there. So the routes are still not done.
Our routes are not good. They will come and tell us here that they will do it for us. Then we vote for them. After that, no, we don't see them again.
To bring some relief, the district chief executives of Kuru Afram Plains North and South have joined forces to rehabilitate their main trunk roads using the available drip equipment. This was after they solicited for funds from community members.
There was no allocation for this the reshaping, but God being so good, we came together and we appealed to philanthropists and then some good friends somewhere to support us with fuel. The machines are in good shape.
And that was a report of my colleague Stanley Blow. That's the first half of this morning's bulletin. For more news, please check our website at 3news.com. Business News is right up.
Three FM.
Good morning and welcome to the business news here on 3FM 92.7. Coming up this morning, finance and tax expert projects cedi to conclude year at 11 to 12 cedis per dollar, driven by strong Bank of Ghana intervention and expert performance.
The Bank of Ghana has injected so much FX into the market. I believe that the Ghana cedi may be situated within 11 to 12 Ghana cedis by the close of the year.
Also in this bulletin, the Bank of Ghana directs banks to recall checkbooks from banned customers. And much later, the National Development Planning Commission reviews $70 billion overrun as major government projects plunge into delay and substandard execution. We'll bring you details of our headline stories and other stories. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now to the details. A finance and tax expert, Nelson Kujo-Agbaji, has projected the cedi to maintain its recent stability, forecasting an end-of-year exchange rate situated between 11 and 12 cedis per the dollar. The positive outlook is contingent on two critical factors: the Bank of Ghana's sustained intervention strategy and the favorable performance of global commodity markets.
Ghana's local currency on a firm rebound, strengthening sharply over the past 2 weeks on the back of strong central bank actions and rising export inflows. At the close of last week, the Bank of Ghana quoted the dollar at 11 cedis 90 pesos on the interbank markets, while forex bureaus opened the week selling the dollar at around 13 cedis 30 pesos. According to Databank research, the cedi appreciated nearly 2% against the dollar, 2.3% against the euro, and 2.5% against the British pound on the interbank market. The gains were even stronger at the retail end, where the cedi advanced 3.4% against the dollar and over 5% against the pound. Finance and tax expert and head of finance at Merben Capital, Nelson Kujo-Agbaji, attributes local and external factors.
As at the end of September, the total gross international reserves stood at $10.7 billion, which represent about 4.5 months of import cover. Another factor that is giving strength to the cedi has to do with the continuous market support by the Bank of Ghana. We have seen in the recent past that the Bank of Ghana has injected so much FX into the market in order to support market activity. I believe that the Ghana cedi may be situated within 11 to 12 Ghana cedis by the close of the year.
Despite the current success, significant underlying risks cloud the long-term outlook.
The prices of gold, the prices of crude, and the prices of cocoa, they are determined at the international market. And so any volatility in the international market regarding the prices of these commodities may significantly impact our reserve. I believe that the government in general has to focus more on diversification of the economy. We need to move away from the exportation of raw materials to an exportation of value-added, commodities.
Most recently, the BOG planned a further $1.15 billion injection to support the forex market, demonstrating a commitment to currency stability.
Now, the Bank of Ghana has intensified its crackdown on issuance of debt checks, issuing a strong directive that requires all commercial banks to immediately recall unused checkbooks from customers who have been banned from using the payment instrument. The central bank's action is part of a wider effort to safeguard the integrity and confidence in Ghana's payment system, which has been severely affected by the persistent issuance of checks with insufficient funds. There's more in the following 3 Business report.
The Bank of Ghana has revised its sanctioning regime on the issuance of debt checks, warning that persistent offenders will face severe consequences. In a statement issued on Wednesday, October 14, the central bank said the decision follows a worrying rise in the number of bounced checks, which it described as undermining public confidence in check transactions. Under the new framework, customers who issue a debt check for the first time will be fined 10% of the check's face value and placed under surveillance for at least 1 year. A second offense within the same year attracts a 15% penalty, while a third offense comes with a 20% levy and an automatic 3-year ban from issuing checks. Offenders will also be reported to credit reference bureaus and denied access to new loans for a year. The Bank of Ghana further warned that banks must recall all unused checkbooks from banned customers and report those who fail to return them. The central bank says it may publish a directory of high-risk check issuers to guide financial institutions and safeguard the integrity of Ghana's payment system.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report on BOG, directing banks to recall checkbooks from banned customers. Now, moving on, a damning report by the National Development Planning Commission reveals that government's capital projects across Ghana are plunged by massive cost overruns and significant time delays, severely undermining the value for money. The NDP's 2024 Annual Progress Report shows that total contracts cost 17,993 capital projects, surged from an initial 434.8 billion cedis to 5 billion cedis, representing a staggering 70.3 billion cedis overrun. There's more in the following report.
The report pins the widespread project failures, which include substandard execution and delays of many years, on prevailing macroeconomic instability. The key culprits cited are low GDP growth, high inflation, and volatile exchange rates, which make imported materials and general execution much more expensive. Macroeconomic risk, including rising inflation and volatile exchange rates, made projects more costly to complete, according to the NDPC report. The Ministry of Defense saw the most dramatic increase, with its project cost soaring more than 6-fold. from 8 billion cedis to 55.6 billion cedis in 2024. The Ministry of Roads and Highways, managing 9,616 projects, accounted for over half of all ongoing initiatives. The Ministries of Works and Housing and Energy also recorded substantial cost escalations, while metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies managed to implement about 89.6% of their annual action plans. Only 73.4% of planned activities were actually completed, highlighting a massive execution deficit. The NDPC warned that these persistent delays and cost overruns are not just financial liabilities. They squander public funds and actively hinder social and economic development. The Commission called for urgent action, recommending stricter enforcement to project timelines, transparent procurement processes, and improved financial planning to ensure public funds deliver their intended outcomes for the nation.
That was a business report on the National Development Planning Commission revealing that $70 billion overrun as major government projects plunged into delay and substandard supervision. Now, before we go, let's take a look at how the cedi is faring against major trading currencies and how some key commodities are also faring on the global market.
On the interbank foreign exchange market, the dollar is selling at 11 cedis, 45 pesos, and lost 45 pesos. The British pound is selling at 15 cedis, 25 pesos. It also lost 62 pesos. The euro is selling at 13 cedis, 29 pesos, and lost 48 pesos. However, be guided that these figures could be higher at a forex bureau near you. On the global commodities market, Brent crude is trading at $58.43 per barrel. Gold is trading at $4,157.10 per ounce, up by $24.10. Cocoa is trading at $5,899 per ton, down by $77.
And that was an update from the Forex and commodities markets. That'll be all for business news here on Sunrise 3FM 92.7. For more news, please check our websites at 3news.com. I am Enyonam Haligah. Sunrise continues.